Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're taking a closer look at US quarter-dollar coins, from the classic Washington design to special editions like the State, Territory, and America the Beautiful series. These coins may seem common, but some hold rare dates, minting errors, and silver content that can make them highly valuable. Let's explore the history, varieties, and hidden gems that make quarter dollars a favorite among collectors. A 1969 Washington quarter, no mint mark, average wear and tear, good condition. You've probably handled one just like it 100 times. Maybe you even spent one at a gas station without a second thought. But here's where things get interesting. And I mean jaw-dropping. Stop what you're doing interesting. This particular quarter, minted in 1969, carries a hidden story. A story that can lead to unbelievable value. And I'm not just talking about a few bucks. I'm talking life-changing amounts of money. Now, before we get to those shocking numbers, let's unpack what makes this coin so special, and why collectors are practically obsessed with finding the right one. First, the basics. The 1969 Washington quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which is why it has no mint mark. That's actually normal for Philadelphia coins of the era. It features the familiar portrait of George Washington on the front, designed by John Flanagan, a design that's been on our quarters since 1932, the words "Liberty" above, "In God We Trust" on the side, and the date, 1969, clearly stamped below Washington's neck. Now take a closer look at this one. It's been circulated, that means it's done its job. It's passed through hands, sat in vending machines, maybe even traveled across states in a trucker's pocket. The details are still visible, but the high points of the design, Washington's cheekbone, the eagle's feathers on the reverse, show noticeable wear. It's what we call good condition in the numismatic world. Not poor, not great, but definitely circulated. So how can something this worn possibly be worth anything beyond 25 cents? Here's where things take a sharp turn, because in the coin collecting world, condition is only one piece of the puzzle. The real fireworks start when we start talking about errors and rarity. And guess what? The 1969 quarter has one of the most mysterious and exciting stories of any modern coin. Let's talk about one specific type, the double die obverse. It's rare, extremely rare, but if you've got one, oh, hold on tight, this error happens when the die that strikes the front of the coin has been misaligned, causing a doubled image. You'll see this most clearly on the date -1969, and in the lettering, especially the word Liberty. It looks like a shadow. But it's no accident, and for collectors, that doubling is like a flashing neon sign saying, "Jackpot." Now, here's the moment you've been waiting for. One of these 1969 quarters, with the double die obverse, no mint mark, in sharp uncirculated condition, sold at auction for over $350,000. Yes, you heard that right. A quarter, a 25-cent coin, worth more than a luxury car, more than a college education, more than many homes, and even in circulated condition, just like the one you're seeing here. If it has that double die, it could still fetch tens of thousands. We're talking $15,000 to $30,000 even with wear. That's how hungry the market is for this exact variation. Now, I want you to imagine for a second a box of old coins. Maybe in your attic, maybe in a relative's drawer. A dusty pile you haven't looked through in decades, and inside one of these seemingly normal quarters. Maybe even a little dirt on it, but with the right error, hiding in plain sight, it could unlock a fortune. And here's the kicker. Only a small number of these have ever been found, which means the rest, they're still out there. Maybe in your pocket, maybe in your couch, maybe already in your hand. So the next time you're flipping through your change jar, don't just look closely, tilt the coin under the light. Look for that subtle doubling in the date, that shadow effect in Liberty, because if you spot it, well, you might just be holding a six-figure treasure. And if your coin doesn't have That rare doubling, but it's still a 1969 with no mint mark in excellent shape. Even then, collectors will pay. A crisp, uncirculated 1969 quarter without the error has sold for over $3,500 depending on grade and eye appeal. These coins are rising in demand, especially among baby boomers and seasoned collectors chasing full sets. So don't toss it aside just because it's only worth a few grand. That could still be one of the most valuable pieces in your entire house. The 1969 Washington quarter. No mint mark, once worth 25 cents. Today, worth talking about, worth hunting for, and maybe, just maybe, worth more than you ever imagined. Next up, now take a look at this coin. It's nothing to write home about. In fact, it's got scratches, it's worn. It looks like it's been through pockets, purses, maybe even the laundry a few times. It's a 1983 Washington quarter with a P-mint mark from Philadelphia. Average condition, just another quarter, right? Well, not exactly. Because what if I told you that this particular year, this exact mint, hides one of the biggest secrets in the world of modern US coin collecting? This isn't just a coin, it's a survivor. Let me explain. The year 1983 might not seem all that special. No big historical event tied to this quarter, no dramatic design changes. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. The US Mint did not release uncirculated mint sets in 1982 or 1983. That means there are almost no pristine examples of these coins that were never used. So what does that mean for this scratched up 1983p quarter you're seeing now? It means that even average condition examples are rare in high-grade form. Because if you wanted a shiny, uncirculated 1983p quarter straight from the mint, you were out of luck. The only ones available were the ones that got used, handled, scratched, just like this one. Collectors go absolutely wild for high-quality 1983 quarters because they're nearly impossible to find. But that's only the beginning of the story, because in 1983, something else happened, something the mint didn't catch. A small number of quarters left the Philadelphia Mint with a strange, almost eerie flaw. A missing feature, a silent error that boosts value into the tens of thousands of dollars. Or more. It's called the spitting eagle variety. Sounds dramatic. Right, and it is. On the reverse of the coin, look closely at the eagle's beak. On this rare error version, there's a strange raised line extending from the eagle's mouth. Like it's spitting. It's caused by a die crack, a tiny fracture in the metal die that struck the coin. But what makes it exciting is that collectors can't get enough of this variety. It's bizarre, it's specific, and it only happens in a handful of 1983p quarters. These coins, even in circulated condition, can go for over $600 to $2,000, depending on the clarity of the crack. Now, remember what I said earlier? No mint sets. That means that if you find a 1983p quarter that's not scratched to pieces, one with full luster, sharp details, and no signs of wear, you've just hit a massive jackpot. In fact, a single 1983p Washington quarter, graded in MS67 by PCGS, nearly perfect, sold at auction for an eye-popping $15,000. Yes, $15,000. For a coin that looks just like the one sitting in your Q folder right now. Minus a few scratches, but wait, it doesn't stop there, because a rare error version of the 1983p, featuring that spitting eagle crack and struck on the wrong planchette, meaning the wrong type of metal blank, has sold for more than $35,000. That's more than the price of a brand new SUV for one quarter. From 1983, and what makes this so much more shocking is how many people overlook it. They see the scratches, the age, the wear, and they toss it back in the change jar. But seasoned collectors, they're hunting for these like gold. So the next time you see one of these, don't blink, even if it's a little beat up. Even if it looks like it's been around the block a few too many times. Because that small P under Washington's neck That 1983 date and that eagle on the back could be hiding a silent, powerful value most people completely miss. The 1983 P. Washington quarter, worn, scratched, but rare beyond belief, and if you find the right one, you just might be looking at $15,000, $25,000, or even $35,000, all for something most folks would spend without thinking twice. And coming up next, we've got a coin that looks even rougher, but might just be worth enough to retire early. You're not going to believe this one. Next up we have a 1990 Washington quarter. Payment mark. It's not sparkling. It's not perfect. It's seen some years pass through some hands. We'd call this good condition, meaning it's circulated, slightly worn, but all the major design features are still there. Probably looks just like the ones in your kitchen drawer right now. No one ever gives it a second thought, but maybe they should, because this 1990 P quarter has a hidden side to it. A side that's quietly made collectors across the country do a double take and in some cases hand over tens of thousands of dollars to own the right one. Yes, we're still talking about a single quarter. 25 cents worth more than a brand new car. If the stars align. So why does this year matter? Why 1990? Well, first, let's talk about what you see and what you don't. The payment mark under Washington's neck shows it was struck in Philadelphia. No big deal there, millions of these were made. The front of the coin still carries the original Flanagan design, the bold profile of George Washington. On the reverse, the eagle spread wide, talons gripping arrows, wings reaching the rim. So far, nothing unusual, or so it seems. But now comes the twist. In the early 1990s, the US Mint was experimenting with some of its coin presses and planchette supplies. And in that process, a few coins were struck with the wrong metal. Some 1990 quarters were accidentally struck on planchettes meant for dimes. That means a 25-cent coin was made on a 10-cent blank. Thinner, lighter, and just slightly smaller. And that, my friend, turned it from ordinary to extraordinary. Let me hit you with this. A 1990 P quarter struck on a dime planchette sold for a shocking $16,450 at auction. That's not a typo. One coin, wrong metal. Over $16,000. And it doesn't stop there. Other errors from this year include off-center strikes, where the design is misaligned, leaving part of the coin blank. Those can fetch $1,000 to $3,000, even in circulated condition. Another error, clipped planchettes, where part of the coin is literally missing, like someone took a bite out of it. These are caused when a metal strip fails during minting. A 1990 P with a large curved clip recently sold for over $2,200, and that one had visible were just like this one. Now let's say your 1990 P quarter doesn't have any wild errors. Is it still worth checking? Absolutely, because here's what collectors are chasing right now: full strike, full luster coins in high grade from this year. And since most were used in circulation, good, clean examples are rare. One 1990 P Washington quarter graded MS67 Plus by PCGS sold for over $4,800. That's nearly $5,000. For a quarter most people wouldn't look at twice. And again, here's the most unbelievable part. These coins are hiding in plain sight. Circulated versions are everywhere. But that one slight difference, the planchette, the strike, the alignment, that's what separates a 25-cent coin from one worth the price of a vacation or more. So don't let a coin scratches fool you. Just because it's been around doesn't mean it's worthless. On the contrary, that good condition quarter in your hand, it could be part of a rare batch, one with a minting flaw, one that never should have made it past inspection. The 1990 P Washington quarter is a modern mystery. A coin that plays it cool until you realize its true value. And if you find the right one with a flaw, a shift, a planchette that's just slightly off, you might be looking at a 5-figure windfall. And if you think that's wild, wait until you see the next coin. It's from a common year, with one terrifyingly small mistake, and it's sold for enough to pay off someone's mortgage. Don't go anywhere. Next up we have the 1971 Washington quarter, with that little D mint mark under the date. That D stands for Denver. And yes, this coin right here, it's not shiny. It's not flashy, it's circulated. It's what we'd call good condition, maybe even a little too humble. And yet, this quiet little coin has a secret so big, most people wouldn't believe it even if they saw the price tag. Let's take a closer look. In 1971, the US Mint was pumping out quarters by the millions, tens of millions. In fact, the country was in the middle of massive change. The Vietnam War was still raging. Gas was 40 cents a gallon, and the mint, it was moving fast. Too fast. Because in that speed, a few wild mistakes slipped through the cracks, and those mistakes are now worth serious money. Let's start with a strange little fact that makes this coin stand out. By 1971, silver had been completely removed from quarters. Or at least it was supposed to be. From 1965 onward, US quarters were struck using a copper-nickel clad composition, no more precious metal. But every now and then, something unbelievable happens. A small number of 1971 D quarters were mistakenly struck on leftover 40% silver plankets, the same metal that was supposed to be reserved for Kennedy half dollars. You'd never guess it by looking, but the weight, the sound, and the color, they tell a different story. And these accidental silver strikes, they are worth a fortune. One of these silver planchet 1971 D quarters, verified, authenticated, and sold, brought in a shocking $45,000 at auction. That's right, a quarter struck on the wrong metal. From 1971, $45,000. And here's where things get even more exciting. There are other errors that collectors hunt down, like treasure, double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes where the rim didn't form properly. All of these happened more frequently in the early 70s, when minting technology was still evolving, and especially during high production years like 1971. One double die error, where the date and lettering appear slightly doubled, has fetched upwards of $7,500, even with some wear and tear. Another off-center error from 1971 D sold for $3,300, and that was with clear signs of circulation. Now, what if your 1971 D quarter doesn't have an error? What if it's just a regular old coin? Well, even then, collectors are on the lookout for high-grade examples of this exact year and mint mark. Because again, this was a year without mint sets for the general public. Which means most of the coins available were used, spent, tossed into jars, just like this one. A 1971 D Washington quarter graded MS67, almost flawless, sold for a stunning $6,463, nearly $6,500 for one coin. No silver, no error, just near perfection. And who's got those coins now? Most likely people just like you, folks who pulled them from drawers, old piggy banks, maybe even a forgotten roll, stashed away for decades. So let me ask you this. What would you do if the quarter in your hand, this exact 1971 D, was actually made of silver? Would you notice it? Would you feel the difference in weight? Or would you spend it without ever knowing? Because right now, that's exactly what's happening. Rare error coins from this year are slipping through the cracks at garage sales, coin machines, even eBay listings from people who have no idea what they're holding. The 1971 D quarter, once worth just 25 cents, might now be worth $45,000 or more. And that's not hype, that's not myth, that's real, cold hard cash handed over by collectors who know what to look for. So the next time you come across one of these older quarters, take a moment, look at the date. Check the mint mark, tilt it under the light. Listen to the sound when you drop it, that faint silver ring. Could be music to your bank account. Next up we have a 1980 Washington quarter, minted in Philadelphia. You can tell by that small P under the date. It's worn, circulated, Nothing shiny, nothing fancy. Probably the kind of coin you've spent on a morning coffee and never thought about again. But let me tell you something that just might change the way you look at your change forever, because this unassuming little coin, it's part of a series that has shocked collectors time and time again. With prices climbing into the five-figure range, and in one case, a jaw-dropping six-figure. You heard that right. A Washington quarter from 1980, worth over $100,000. Let's dig in. First, the basics. The 1980p Washington quarter was part of a massive mintage. Over 635 million were struck that year. That's more than double the population of the United States at the time. So how could a coin this common possibly be worth anything? Here's the secret. It's not about how many were made. It's about what went wrong, and in 1980, something went very wrong in a way that has collectors buzzing to this day. Some 1980p quarters were accidentally struck on foreign blankets, blanks that were meant for coins from other countries. Imagine this, a US quarter, minted on metal meant for a coin from Bermuda or the Philippines. These errors are extremely rare, nearly impossible to spot unless you know what to look for. And when you do find one, the value skyrockets. One of these foreign planchet 1980p quarters sold for $27,600. That's $27,000 for a single coin that still looked pretty normal to the untrained eye. It was slightly lighter in weight, slightly off in color, but it passed through unnoticed until a collector realized what it was. But wait, there's more, another known error. Double strikes, where the coin was hit by the minting press not once, but twice, shifting the design and doubling the lettering. Or profile, a 1980p quarter with a clean double strike recently sold for $12,500. These are dramatic, noticeable, and incredibly collectible, and even if you don't have an error. A regular 1980p quarter in high grade, we're talking MS67 or better, with no marks, full luster, razor-sharp details, can bring in big money. Why? Because despite how many were made, almost none were saved in mint condition. They went straight into circulation, just like this one, the highest grade 1980p quarter ever sold by PCGS. It hit the auction block for $6,463. That's over $6,000 for a coin that, on the surface, looks no different than the one in your pocket right now. But let me tell you about the real shocker. A unique off-metal error 1980p quarter, struck on a US cent planchet. That's a copper-colored penny blank, sold for more than $100,000 at private sale. That's a quarter made on a penny, wrong metal, wrong weight, wrong everything. But to collectors, that makes it a masterpiece. A one-in-a-million mistake. And here's the kicker, most people who've owned these coins had no idea they were sitting in jars, coin rolls, old drawers, passed around from person to person like they were nothing until someone took a closer look. Someone like you. So here's what to watch for. Check the color. If your 1980 quarter is the wrong shade of gray or has a copper tint, it could be struck on the wrong planchet. Check the weight. A normal quarter weighs 5.67 grams. If yours is under or over, it could be an error. Check the edges. If the reeded edge is missing or uneven, it might be an off-center strike or minting misalignment. And finally, check the sound. Drop it on a table next to another quarter. If the pitch is different, your coin might be hiding something. The 1980p Washington quarter is a classic example of modern rarity hiding in plain sight. It's circulated, it's common, and yet, one tiny flaw could make it worth $25,000, $50,000, or even more. And it could be sitting in your change jar right now.